Well, welcome everybody to Sty Times. Yeah, here we are. We're back. We're live. We're back. I want to apologize to all you folks that we're all geared up and ready for a Sty Times Tuesday night, and there wasn't one. Not Tuesday night. I take that back. Monday night. Oh well. I did put an announcement out saying that there wouldn't be a Sty Times Monday night, and so you're getting it tonight, Wednesday night, and things happen. Things happen. It was a regrettable, unavoidable situation, and it's a health thing. I got this duck on runny nose so bad that Monday night it was so bad. There was just no way. There was just no way I could do a live. There was no way. Even tonight, old Kleenex is just handy. But on Monday night, it was just like a leaky faucet, just constant. I had to hold Kleenex in my nose constantly. I didn't want to go through that on a live stream. It was rough, so I didn't want to put you folks through that. But here we are, and I want to shout out some folks out there in the chat. And the very first one I want to shout out, King Bluto. Welcome back, my friend. Welcome back. King Bluto is back as a hiker. Thank you so much for that membership. That's very awesome of you. Very awesome of you. And then we had Tales of Campground host showed up. He's looking forward to tonight. Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. And then Get Her Done Granny popped in the house. It is so good to see Get Her Done Granny more often. Yes, Get Her Done Granny's back. It's great. Then we got Adventures in the Heartland. Awesome. Awesome. And I like that. Hello, friends, old and new. Yeah, as folks come on into the chat, check each other out. Make sure you got each other's channels. All it does is it helps build the community, make the community that much larger. And there's Metal Music Maniac. Yeah. So the theme for today is inflation. Is this camping floor mattress? Is this a camping floor mattress? Inflation. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. No, it's my poor hips. I got a bad case of inflation in the joints. Yeah, we'll have fun with inflation tonight. Well, there's my boy running water. I had a very long chat with him this afternoon before the stream. Running water and I have a lot of plans ahead of us, so we spend a lot of time in contact now. So that's great. And you listen while you're going down the road, boy. He's going to drive for a few hours before he calls it a night. I don't want him watching. He can listen. TM. Awesome. There's TM. Hello, everyone. Can't stay that long, but I can stay for a little while. A little while is better than no while at all. That's great. Me Dibble's here. I made it tonight. But it's not 1 a.m. Yeah. Oh, Kimberly Ferris. There's our sweetie. Yes. Awesome. And there's Kayla. Right there. Right there. Awesome. Love it. Love it. All my great dependables. There's Scott Keller. Hey, Scott. Sty bonus for Santa Claus impersonator at local mall. $5,000. $20 an hour. You should apply. That's a job I, I could do it. I just don't want to. There we go. There, I nailed everybody, mentioned everybody that's out there in the chat. Tonight's topic, we're going to get on with tonight's topic. Inflation. And I've said it before. Oh, there's Native Grammy. She just came in the house. Good to see you, girl. And Cy's detecting. Awesome, Cy. I'm doing well. I hope you are. I love it when I see some of your find videos coming up. And yeah, that guy has, I tell you what, he has fun with metal detectors. Old Cy's detecting. Peppers in Kentucky Living's in the house. Great to see y'all. Inflation. Everybody out there, nobody can deny that we're going through a bad bout of inflation. And it's like every topic I do. For fight. That the aquaticness, great to see you. But inflation's affecting everybody. And it's so obvious. This is a bad case of inflation. Now, I've lived enough years. Now, you have to excuse me because I got to dab that old nose once in a while. But when you've lived as many years as I have, inflation is not something new. In fact, anytime we've gone through any major inflationary changes, they were difficult. Today's inflationary difficulties are, in my opinion, the most extreme, I think, that I've ever experienced. Peppers in Kentucky Living. 100 years, Sty? Not quite. Feels like 100, but no, not quite. I haven't hit 100 yet. And because of you guys, I hope I do hit 100. But now I remember back in the 70s, we had an incident, a social incident, that got coined with the title of the energy non-crisis, they called it. And there was a fuel crisis. They considered it this massive fuel crisis. There were issues related to the Alaskan pipeline. There were issues related to the processing of fuels at all of our refineries. There was issues with shipping fuels in from overseas, OPEC, all the issues. And gas went through the roof. Now, when I very first started driving, gasoline was 34 cents a gallon. And I remember it creeping from that 34 cents up to about 70 cents. And at that time, we're all just like, this is insane. This is nuts. But still 70 some cents we could live with. Hey, Joe W. Life Adventures, great to see you. But we were getting by. People adjusted to the inflationary issues, and we watched everything raise. The price of groceries, price of material. We watched it all come with the price of gas. Well, Then the non-crisis, the energy non-crisis hit. And that's when we really felt the inflation. Nothing like going from 73 cents a gallon to $1.78 a gallon. Increased by $1, over 100%. Well, that's insane. That's insane. Well, it took a lot. It's 2 days. Yeah. Tales of Campground Host is talking about what he's going to be spending in gasoline the next few days because of his travel needs. Hi, E-Waste Mike. Great to see you. Let's see here. Yeah, TM remembers when they had to put a 1 on the gas pump prices. Now, I remember we had gas stations where they actually took the number 1, went to the hardware store, and bought a sheet of stick-on numbers, and they stuck the number 1, the dollar, on the pump because there weren't that they were mechanical numbers. There wasn't a slot for anything beyond 99 cents. So they just taped a 1 on the pumps. Now, when we had the energy non-crisis, what we called the energy non-crisis, inflation hit straight across the board. Everything, manufacturing, agriculture, everything. The only thing that got us out of those inflationary problems. Now, mind you, both of those circumstances I'm talking about all occurred because of a gasoline price change. The price of fuel, gasoline, diesel fuel, and heating fuel, propane and fuel oil, right through the roof. Back then, we didn't have a lot of natural gas. That wasn't an issue. And we felt those negative impacts back then. But we made, right after those huge economic impacts that created all that inflation, right after that, there was a lot that triggered industry and put a lot of people to work. Wages had gone up, more work was available, and also more 2-job households where both mom and pop are working full time. More of that happened, and it covered that inflation. It covered the costs. It didn't cure the problem, but it covered the costs. And we survived it and we lived through it. But I'm seeing a big change today in this situation. That we don't have anything on the horizon that's going to drive up the household incomes, the individual and household incomes, to meet this inflation. Now, where is the inflation? Today's inflation really affecting us? Now, back in those inflationary periods, it had a harder effect on certain things. Today's effect is a blanket. Everything is being driven up by this inflation. This is true inflation. Make sure that Lori J saying, I want to make sure you got my message that I was unable to read that, but I also want to thank Native Granny for helping me by text. Yes, that's why I didn't respond, is because just as I had read it, I saw Native Granny responded to you and let you know why. That's why I didn't respond, Lori, is because Native Grammy took care of her buddy Sty. Native Grammy came to the rescue. Yeah, that was in my announcement. And just so folks know, to put it in context, um, Lori J isn't able to read the comments. So my announcement was all in text. It wasn't verbally done. So she didn't know what my announcement was about. And she couldn't read it. And she was wondering what the announcement was. And thank goodness, get her done. Or Native Grammy contacted her and told her what was going on, what the announcement was about. Hello, Mr. Fulton. So back on the inflation issue. So we're all feeling it. Where's the first place people felt it? At the gas pumps. Of course. Boy, you really feel it. Now we're going to talk about that for a minute. Now my truck, I drive a 2005 Ford F-150 King Ranch, right? It's a little heavier than your average Ford 150 because of the options that are on it. And it's got a 5.4 V8 in it. And it gets about 14 miles a gallon. Averages about 14. I never had an issue with the fact that it doesn't get great gas mileage. It's so comfortable. And I want to say hello real quick to Lone Stars Lounge. Great to see you, buddy. And there's Gemma's Journey Grace. Hi, Gemma. All great folks. So anyway, my truck used to cost me, I'd run her right down to empty, right? And it's got a 32 gallon tank. I'd run her right down to empty. There's only a couple gallons in it. Pull into the gas station, fill it up. And it would cost me about $62 to fill it. I did that about a week ago. It was right down there, and it's telling me you've got, I think it said I've got 47 miles before empty. Yeah, it was on empty for quite a while. Because it starts warning me when I only have about 100 miles left. And yeah, I run it down to right about 40 miles. I pull in the gas station and I just put the nozzle in and start filling her up. I'm not thinking about the price, right? I just filling her up. When it stopped, I looked and I go, oh my gosh, I rounded it off, hung the hose back up, and I'm looking at that and I'm going, boy, have things changed, man. This used to cost me $62, $96 to pull in there and fill my truck. I couldn't help but think back to when I was young and I first started driving, and I could pull in the gas station with my Ford Thunderbird with a big 20. I think that had a 24 or 26 gallon tank in it. And I could fill that car for $6. And now I'm paying over $90 to fill a vehicle. The issue of inflation really hits me now because, again, like I said, at my age, I've seen inflation happen, come up and down, up and down, up and down through the years. But if I think back to when I first started noticing inflation, to our inflationary issues today, it's actually It borderlines on insane. It's just insane. Hey, Rain Dancer, great to see you. Now, I personally I don't like hearing that our government wants to spend more money when and it's lost. I mean, it's so lost on society. Our government, technically by law, is not supposed to ever approve an unbalanced budget. In other words, they're never supposed to spend more than what comes in. We're going back decades. They quit doing it. Even though it's required by law that you are not allowed to approve a deficit budget. And they've been getting away with it by, we're going to approve our regular operational budget as a balanced budget, but any special projects or any special legislature, those are add-ons. Those aren't part of the normal budget. So we can go ahead and borrow money to do these things. So really what they've done is they've misconstrued the whole budgetary process of government. Now they require federal departments, which that was part of my career. I worked under several federal governmental departments. Now those departments themselves were not allowed to borrow money. They had to pass, each one of those departments were required by law to pass a balanced budget. But those above them weren't. They don't have to pass a balanced budget. They're not required anymore. So they can borrow money. Well, borrowing money in this day and age actually requires them to print more money. They create more money. Now, money has to be backed by real, by an actual physical item. It used to be backed by gold and silver. Now, under the Federal Reserve Act, it's only backed by 20% gold and silver reserves. Federal Reserve, they're reserving 20% of all the money that's out there. They got 20% of that in gold and silver. They're required under that act. Oh yeah, me Dibble gave the example of when he was 5, petrol was 73 pence per imperial gallon. And currently it's 6 pounds, 32 pence per imperial gallon. Isn't that insane? Isn't that just insane? More than 5 pounds more per gallon. Yeah. But what we're experiencing today is our government that in the US here is just not shy about spending money it does not have. When they do that, cash money is just like stocks, like the stock market. If you got a company, and I'm going to use very compressed numbers just for demonstration purposes. If you have 100 shares in a company and you decide you're going to do a stock split so that you have more shareholders, right? Well, if those original 100 shares are worth $10 a piece, and you do a stock split, and let's say you own 10 of those, well, that's $100 worth of stock, right? They do a stock split. Guess what? You own 20 shares of stock now. That's great, eh? Problem is they're only worth $5 a piece now. They're not worth 10 anymore because they had to split them. They split them in half. And that's the way our dollar works. If you have X number of dollars, which would be the 20% reserve plus 80%, that makes 100% of the money. Okay? Now you go out and you create new money. What that does is, in order for that money to be created, you have to split the values of all those other dollars and devalue the new money so that all the money's worth the same. It still works out to 20% and 80% to come to 100%. You just created more pieces of paper with less value than what it was to start with. That's all they've done when they do that, when they go out and they spend trillions of dollars without the money being there. And they say, we'll just print some more. Well, that just devalues the dollar. And that in itself will cause inflation, because all of a sudden it's going to cost you more, because they still need to get $1's worth out of you, but your dollar's not worth as much, so they're going to have to get $1.50 out of you now to get the same value back that they used to. That drives prices up. Now with fuel, we had the opportunity. You take a look at the inflationary problems we have today, and a lot of people's line. I know there's a lot of people that say, oh, no, that was all caused by previous administration. You have a good night, TM, and a very, very nice Thanksgiving. Thank you. But so I've been watching as close as I possibly can. And I have to say, I don't expect anybody to take my side or Sty is the expert on this and everything. But I do feel, hey, Heartsight, you're in the chat. Yeah, Eileen, hi, sweetie. But back when I was in college, I had to take economics. I was required to take economics in my course of study. I got in that economics class and I was bored to death. And the course of study in economics that was really boring me to death was supply and demand, which is a big issue right now today, supply and demand. We were required as students to do a huge essay. We had to do a really detailed, in-depth essay on successful and failed economies. Anywhere in the world, we needed to pick one and do an essay about it. Well, I picked the Ukraine and how the Ukraine created a huge inflationary crisis and their monetary system crashed. Well, after they separated from the Soviet Union, they were so determined to not have any Soviet influence left over. So they declared Soviet money, the ruble, It's no longer a valid currency in the state in the country of Ukraine. So they created their own currency, the Ukrainian coupon system. The thing is, they were backing that system with rubles, with Russian rubles. The money they didn't want anymore was what they were using to back the new Ukraine dollar, right? Well, they only had so many rubles. And they kind of modeled what we do with the Federal Reserve. As long as we got 20% of the money we actually print out in rubles, we'll be okay. Well, everything started out good. But then they realized our economy is running and people need money. They need to have money. And we don't have enough. So they created more money, printed more. Let's just print some more. And the dollars ended up actually being less and less and less because there were so many dollars that 20% plus all of those outstanding dollars out there deflated in value equals 100. And the people, because the ruble was no longer their currency, the people started withdrawing any rubles they had in the bank. The banks, there was a run on the banks. All of a sudden, all of the Russian rubles are being withdrawn, and people are spending on Russian goods and having it imported. But they're spending those rubles down because it's no longer their money. And their money doesn't seem to be worth much. So, what does the Ukrainian government do? Oh, we got to print a bunch more money. Because the money we have isn't buying what we need. We got to print more money. And they did. And it drove prices up. Well, it eventually got to the point where it would take 10,000 Ukrainian dollar coupons, or their dollars. Take 10,000 of those to buy a loaf of bread. They said if you were to buy a week's worth of groceries for 2 people in the house, you would have to take a wheelbarrow stacked full of money to the grocery store in order to buy that much food. Just for a week. Hey, Mojo, it's great to see you out there in the chat. And hunting and stuff with J&J's here too. Great to see you too. But that gives you an idea how inflation is affected by overspending. Now, watching. Oh, I have to say, in economics class, my teacher said, anybody that gets an A on their essay will not be required to finish out the course, and they will not be required to take a final exam. I will pass them as a 5.0. Guess what? I was the only person in that whole class. Didn't have to take final exam, or I showed up to the classes the rest of the semester just because I found it a little interesting just to hang out. But I wasn't required to take any of the testing. I wasn't required to do anything after that essay. So I do feel that I understand economy well enough. Hey, Computer Chick, it is great to see you. Yeah, Computer Chick saying the same thing. She thinks I should be a mall Santa. No, I don't want to be a mall Santa. But today's inflation and how's it affecting us? I went and I bought groceries yesterday. I wasn't going to go anywhere yesterday, not with this whole runny nose thing and everything. And on the screen, what was happening all week long, I was unable to see. Oh, okay, Lori, that's great. Um, I, I, anyway, God. So I go grocery shopping yesterday. I wasn't going to go anywhere. I was so ill the last 2 days, but I went anyway. I went out grocery shopping. I went to Walmart because I didn't want to store hop yesterday. I just went to Walmart and I went through their grocery department, got a few things, got up to the checkout, and I thought, yeah, it's about $20 worth of stuff. And that stuff wasn't main meal kind of stuff either. I didn't have any meat in the cart. I had a few frozen food items, otherwise general stuff, a couple of things from the bakery, just general groceries. And looking at what I had there, the seat in the cart is all I use, is that seat in the cart. All my groceries were piled up in the seat of the cart, nothing down in the big part of the cart. I rang it all up. $42. $42. And I was confident walking up there, that's only going to be about $20, if that. I paid twice as much for something I really didn't see that value in. And like I said, just last week, I filled up my truck and found out that it cost me almost $30 more for a full tank than what it did in the past. I'm fortunate. I don't eat a lot. I eat like a bird. I don't eat much. But it really struck me back when I was married, we had 4 kids in the house, a family of 6. I would go to Walmart once a week and I'd easily spend $150, $200 just grocery shopping. Fill that bloody cart just full, over full. At that time, I used to, oh boy, this is going to cost me $150, $200 for that cart full. If that was today, that would cost me between $250 and $300 for that same cart full of food. There Tails, the campground host, hit it right on the head. His family size was very close to what mine was. And I was paying $150, $200, and he paid $300 in the groceries just for last week. Mojo, I bought $42 worth of birdseed. Now, inflation hasn't hit it too bad yet. Just for giggles, I went to the pet department at Walmart yesterday and I was looking around, and you can buy cans of dog food that are called gourmet, filet mignon, blah, 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 for less than you can buy its human equivalent back in the grocery department. Hopefully for the dog owners out there, the dog food doesn't go crazy. But I can guarantee you it will. It will. Inflation today is affecting the cost of everything. And a huge portion of it revolves around the cost of fuel. Now they're talking about shutting down the pipeline in Michigan. That pipeline runs through Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. There's going to be a major effect and it's going to be peripheral. It's going to kick way up. All the jobs that'll be lost. A lot of jobs are going to be lost. The price of, they're talking the price of home heating oil in upper Michigan going up 300%. Good night, Miss Me Dibble. Good night. Going to be shut off facilities. Yeah. So all over the place, they're shutting down natural gas lines, restricting oil gas lines, shutting down refineries, depending on foreign oil. Any economist out there that has any education in the economy could have told you that the very first act of our current president of shutting down the Keystone Pipeline was just the first domino getting knocked over. And now those dominoes are dropping, just right through everything. That was the beginning of our inflation. I've had people argue with me, oh no, that's just a factor. It's not really. No. Yeah, that's an argument I won't get into with people. I'll just say, okay, let's change the subject then, because you are not paying attention. Fuel drives everything. It determines all of our costs. All of our costs. You raise fuel prices, the price of every single commodity and service out there goes up. We all have to go to work. We get in our vehicle, we drive to work and back. Now it's going to cost us more to get to work and back. So we're going to be screaming at our employer, would you please raise my wages so I can get back and forth to work? They're like, no, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. We're going to talk about these effects that we have and how it affects everything. After this, usually I do this at the half-hour mark, but we're running a little bit behind. This gives me a chance to seriously blow my nose, and I'll be right back. Don't anybody go anywhere. Just watch these two clips. They're real quick, and I'll be right back with you. Well, we're back. Hey, thanks for hanging around, folks. Uh, I got a shout out. Hello, Raven. It's great to see you. Crazy Ann, I don't think I shouted you out when you first popped in, sweetheart. I am so sorry. I love that girl. I just love Crazy Ann. The so back to the issue, inflation. I've got things in my life that are going to be affected by inflation, negatively affected, but not to the miserable degree, not at this point. But I can't say that for most other people. Anybody that's in the exact same condition and situation economically that I am will survive it. We'll get around it. We'll work around it one way or the other. But for folks out there, there's a lot of folks out there, single couples, families. What's happening in our world today on inflation, some folks are going to see a dramatic, very dramatic change to their quality of life. And the big hype is the cost of Thanksgiving dinner. This item went up 18%, that one 24%, this one 11%, this one 30%. All these items. It's going to cost you so much more for that Thanksgiving dinner. I heard someone say, well, guess you need to fix less for Thanksgiving dinner. No, what that means is that's Thanksgiving dinner, mind you. Try buying your daily, weekly, monthly groceries. Because everything we have for Thanksgiving is made up of everyday grocery items. That increase in the Thanksgiving dinner is reflective of what we pay for all of our groceries. For all of our groceries. Now, why are groceries going through the roof? People are screaming and hollering, it's supply and demand, supply and demand. No, it's fuel. It's fuel. Because with the fuel prices going up, fertilizer prices are going up, building material prices are going up, equipment and vehicles is going up. All agricultural associated costs, overhead costs, in order to get out there and plant a field of corn that they're going to harvest and they're going to sell back to us as customers. All of those prices have been driven so high that the agricultural market has to drive the price of those commodities way up to cover the increased cost to produce them. And they all come right out and say it. But it's like nobody's listening. They're saying there's other reasons. Fuel is the heart of the problem. The second condition that's creating this is our acts of government spending their money, what they think is their money, so freely. And that's the thing with government. They can drive inflation up, but none of those people, I guarantee you, none of those people elected and sitting on Capitol Hill will suffer from the inflation. They'll feel it. They'll see their bottom line change, but their worst case bottom line is 100-fold better than most of our best case bottom line. So the inflation's not going to hurt them like it does us, the commoners. We need to produce fuel again. I don't mind transitioning to renewable energy. I don't mind that. What I do mind is cutting off our life's blood in the meantime. Oh, hey, Dorito. That is so kind of you. Thank you for the channel support, my friend. That is so kind of you. Yes, that's great. But I, you know, we can project all we want as to what's it going to cost me for gas 6 months from now? What's it going to cost me for groceries 6 months from now? What's it going to cost me if I want to do an addition on my house for all the materials 6 months from now? We can project all of that, but that's all it is a projection. It's not accurate. You're going to have to wait to see what happens in the market. I definitely believe that it's not going to get better till it gets a lot worse. Fuel is a big culprit in this whole thing. We need renewable energy, but not as much as we need fossil fuel independence. Now, some of these pipelines are shutting down natural gas. Shutting down natural gas. Well, we're not refining natural gas like we refine gasoline. So why are they shutting it down? And natural gas is the cleanest source of energy, fossil type energy we have. Cut the pipeline off. We don't care if the people down the end are going to freeze to death or not. Now think about that. If they're saying that it'll cost people that are paying currently $300 a month for heating their home, that they'll be paying anywhere from $800 to $1,000 a month when they shut down that Michigan pipeline. Can you imagine 6 months of heating, $6,000 a year to heat your home? It's going to get to the point where it's not sustainable. It can't be done. If I was in a private home and had access to wood heat, I'd be on it. I'd be on it so fast. Because it's not going to it's not going to be safe for society to lose the ability to heat their homes. A lot of things come with that. All of a sudden people can't heat their homes, or they're turning that thermostat way down and they're hoping to keep it as close to $300 a month as they can. Well, if you cut down your thermostat by 65% to try to keep the cost at approximately that $300. What if that $300 a month is based on you keeping your house at 70 degrees? All of a sudden, you're living in a house that, if you're lucky, is at 50 degrees at that original price. People won't be able to do it. So they'll be trying to come up with alternatives. Maybe electric heaters in the room you're using. Shut down the rest of the house. Some people just have their heat shut off, and lo and behold, their pipes freeze. Well, God forbid that your pipes freeze, because you're not going to be able to afford the plumbing to have them replaced. Because the cost of plumbing has gone up. And it keeps going up. Now, everybody talks about Thanksgiving dinner and how expensive it is this year, the highest in 30 years. It's only a month beyond Thanksgiving, but I guarantee you Christmas dinner compared to Thanksgiving dinner is going to be higher yet. This inflation is not going to come to a halt, folks. It's not going to come to a halt. And a lot of people are going to be seriously affected as far as their quality of life because of it. Get her done. Granny says she's lucky that she considers herself fortunate to do stuff, to do her own things, that she doesn't have to hire and that. But what makes it tough is someone that can do those things, like running a water, and I talked about it today. We got a lot of plans at his place, and a lot of it involves me doing it, which is good because there's no way in heck you want to hire a contractor right now. But think of that. So many people are going to go, well, I do have that skill. I won't hire anybody to do it. I'll just have to do it myself. And I'll have to scrounge and scrimp on everything. All right, those people you buy things from, that all of a sudden you're not going to be buying anymore, or you're going to be buying them much less. Those contractors that depended on coming to your place and doing that little odd job once in a while, because they have everybody wanting to hire them to do that little odd job in a while, no longer going to hire them. They're going to do it themselves because they can't afford it based on the inflation. What does that do? All of a sudden, stores start losing business. They cut back on their employees, less employees, and no pay raises, because we don't have the income coming in anymore, the revenue, because people aren't spending as much. The local contractors, I gotta dispose of all the people I hired because I can't afford to pay them because we don't have enough work anymore. A lot of small contractors saying, I got to shut my business down. There's just not enough small jobs to fill in for me to make it a viable business. Inflation is going to affect every single one of us in one bad way or another. So when it comes to inflation, I tell everybody, hang on tight, because inflationary changes like this are never fun. They cause more harm than they cause good. And these prices, I hate to let you know, they might come down eventually. A couple, 2, 3, 4 years from now, they'll come down straight across the board, everybody. But they won't come back down to where we were at just a year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They won't come back down to those prices again. Those days are gone, folks. Every inflationary event I have seen in my 65 years, when you finally recover from it, but it doesn't mean those prices came back down to where they were. It doesn't. They might drop a little, but we're going to have new prices for everything. And all we can do is pray that, God willing, that our incomes will get driven up. We'll have a lot of industry, a lot of free market activity, and people can go to work and they can earn more than they've got now, because everything they want now, we know what it's worth, But you got to come up with the new dollar value that's been created. I surely hope that happens for us. I surely do. I feel bad because in my situation, it hurts. It's going to hurt, but nowhere near as bad as it will for younger folks trying to stay on their feet, get on their feet. It's going to be very difficult, very, very difficult. And families hurt the most. It just, it tears up. Yeah, Raven. Anything under the Social Security Administration system is going to be seeing a hike. Right now, it is. They're saying it's going to be 5.9% increase. That's a big increase, really big cost of living increase. I looked at it, and the net effect on me with that increase, actually, I only get to see about $20 of it. So it's going up about $70 a month or so. But really, the net effect with inflation and other costs associated with that increased income brings the net value of it down to like $28 a month. My costs have gone way up over $28 a month. So that $28 a month ain't going to help worth a shit. So anyway, so with that, folks, there you go. Some food for thought. That's yeah. And I was putting in an electric furnace. Now the old one just wasn't feasible. Just gotta wait on. Yeah, get her done. It's going electric heat. There you go. But I want to thank all of you today. This is a very, very open and wide open conversation that'll be going on for a long time, long time. I'm sure I'll be readdressing it again months from now, just because this isn't over yet. Think about it. It's only been 8 months since the inflationary factor has come into play. Now I hear it all the time, and I hear it from truckers. I'm not hearing it from somebody that did a poll. I'm not hearing it from some so-called expert on supply chain. No. It's clear that the lack of drivers, all of their whiny kind of excuses for supply chain backups, a lot of it revolves around fuel. Think about all these goods that are sitting offshore that aren't coming in, and they hold back on that, hold back on it, and let inflation drive the value of that stuff offshore way up. If they got it to shore right now and sold it to us at its current value, we'd be able to buy a lot of that stuff yet. The longer they hold on to it, the price keeps driving up for those items. And as soon as they bring them to shore and ship them out, they're getting that inflationary value off of it. There's reasons behind that stuff not being shipped out. And it's fuel and profit. That's all. That's all. Don't give me this that we don't have people to haul it. Because it happened so fast, you know doggone well that's not the reason. We didn't all of a sudden lose 25% of our drivers. They just all of a sudden, just miraculously, we don't have drivers. Everything was getting hauled before that, but boom, just overnight, all of a sudden we don't have enough drivers. That's not true. We know that's BS. Inflation. Yeah. I think what it is, one part of inflation to keep in mind is a lot of these people on Capitol Hill. What's inflating are their heads. They got these big heads, and they're just, yeah, we know, we know, we know. You have to believe us. You don't have a choice because we know. Yeah, it's not true. It's not true. I do not have an exit for next week's show. And I'm going to run this end of show. So you're not going to know next week's topic until it pops up, which, well, I'm saying next week, I mean Friday. For Friday night's topic, you won't know it until you get there. So I hope you all show up. Head on over on Friday at 5 p.m. and let's catch the next Sty Times. And in this meantime, I hope inflation doesn't injure you too bad. Hope it's easier on you than I suspect it is. So in the meantime, guys, you know Sty loves you, and I'll see you next Friday, 5 p.m. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.